Hi, hello, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Recreation Rooster, a podcast for health and recreation enthusiasts. This is Dan Chiavo. I'm here once again with Maisha Jones, my co-host. You know, I'm in the greater New York City area, as you can see from my background. She's in LA, as you can see from her background. So, I'm going to start off with the quote of the day.
Yes,
Rec-
yes.
yeah. Recreational therapy. Nobody knows what I do until I don't do it. Once again, recreational therapy. Nobody knows what I do until I don't do it. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Wow. I tell you, that's quite a way to start off episode number 8 for year 2024. Nobody knows what I'm doing until I'm no longer doing it. That is definitely something that resonates with a lot of recreation therapists. Let's just be honest about it, guys. We are the bedrock of the treatment milieu, especially in the recovery and the medical models when it comes to serving our clients. And oftentimes we are the unsung heroes. And people just don't quite miss us until we're not in one day to do the job that keeps I would say, the engine running, when it keeps clients working on their symptom management skills, working on their life resiliency skills, managing, the comorbidities and the maladaptive symptoms that may come with their diagnoses or chronic ailments. People oftentimes do forget that we're there. Is it because we have our head down and we're busy working? Or is it because they have their head in the clouds? Let's have a conversation about that, Dan. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, definitely, no kidding. I mean, of course, when we have them kind of stable, engaged and stabilized, people aren't really thinking about the us being there, take for granted what we're doing. It's when we're not there that they see, some of the deterioration and lack of wellness strategies and other things that kind of fall apart sometimes when we're not there. So especially out being out for extended periods of time or something along those lines. So
Right. Exactly. I mean, oftentimes we as RTs are a part of different departments that oftentimes are staffed critically low, right? So we're already dealing with a skeleton crew to begin with. So there may be gaps in care when you're down a staff or you yourself have to be out for your own life events that are happening. And when you find out how management tries to scramble to find someone to do your job, who they all thought that they could do your job, but never thought that you could do their job. And then they come into that environment and they realize the amount of preparation, skill, and competence, and just the ability to be dynamic and flexible in a very, constantly changing environment. How those are not just soft skills, but they're hard skills. They're competencies that we as recreation therapists possess that many other disciplines in the healthcare delivery system do not possess, you know. So yeah, it is quite interesting. Thank you so much for that quote. That at first I was thinking, I said, Dan, maybe that was a little bit too condescending, but I see that there's a silver lining to that. It's actually a springboard to show how magnificent we are as recreation therapists. Indeed, yes.
yeah, during the pandemic when we were actually there for people who were dying, that was when we really showed our worth in a way.
Absolutely. I do remember hearing about many stories of RTs working in palliative and hospice care with clients who were, adversely and sometimes fatally impacted with the COVID-19, in addition to their other ailments that made them medically fragile.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we were there often when they were saying goodbye to their loved ones for the last time. I mean, it was quite intense.
I can only imagine. And I would also say too, as far as allied health professionals, we were one of the few allied health professionals that stayed on site and did direct care during the pandemic when many other either began to do telehealth or shut down programming altogether. But it just goes to show that we're there for the long term. We're a mainstay in the treatment milieu for a myriad of populations that desire and also need our essential services.
Mhm.
As we strive to make management, whom oftentimes are not clinicians, make them cognizant of the value and the importance of us being supported and being promoted and being given resources needed to do an excellent job. We'll continue to have this conversation for days on.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are, oh yeah, we definitely showed we are essential. That definitely was, in some ways, the tipping point was COVID-19.
Yes, it was. And just to turn to our next segment, which is on a lighter note, our song of the day. I had the opportunity of choosing our song of the day, and I chose "You Gotta Be" by Desiree. I don't know for those of you who are interested in popular culture music. I do know that in 1999, a musical artist by the name of Desiree released a song called "You Gotta Be." And the video and the album itself became world renowned, and it was an uplifting engagement tribute to a person embracing their own individuality. And for those of you who probably know it, it goes a little something like this: you gotta be wild, you gotta be strong, you gotta be wiser, you gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. Remember that one? I
Sure.
hope
Yeah.
that drove your memory.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. 1999. Yeah.
Hmm. And as they say, all I know, love will save the day, right? So talk
Sure.
about love and connection and interacting with one another and supporting one another and doing the best when it comes to exercising goodwill and care and concern for one another helps to save the day. And as you guys know, 1999 was one of those years where it was just a lot of uncertainty that was going on in the world. I mean, I feel like every decade has its moments where, things are happening that makes people feel very nervous and afraid and scared and guarded, regarding what the future holds for them in their respective communities. And I really do feel like though music is a great change agent, helps us to have these uncomfortable conversations, but also to address things that are very hard to address just through regular conversation. And it soothes our soul. So that is our song for today. You gotta
Yeah,
be.
no, I remember that well. I mean, and that's kind of when I was coming of age in about 1999. That's when I was, yeah, in high school, junior in high school, essentially. Yeah, sophomore, junior in high school. So, yeah, definitely remember that well. So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So, guys, next up, our next segment will be pushing forward actionable steps that we can use as recreation therapists when it comes to advocating for the viability of our profession. Take it away, Dan.
Right. And I mean, this is really just simply about being visible. Going to the community events and wearing your gear and letting people know what we do. Yeah, we could join, we have, and I mean, connect with the Rotary clubs, Lions clubs, Elks clubs, all of those community organizations. Yeah, there's also, I mean, I know in some places have, and I've been a part of veteran task force committees.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, there's also county mental health meetings, and as well as for substance abuse as well. So there's a lot of local nonprofits that need board of directors, as well as prevention coalitions for substance abuse. So
okay.
all of which I've been a part of. in my career.
Wonderful, Dan. I didn't even know that. See, I'm learning something new about you today. That's wonderful.
Right, indeed. So that's why doing some, those kind of things has actually really been uh a good gateway for networking and to meeting people and promoting and what we do. So that's a very good aspect of it. So
I think that's great. I mean, you think about some of the high visibility opportunities that we have working with nonprofits and corporate entities that have social responsibility campaigns that they allocate dollars for. So
yeah.
oftentimes you do hear about different events that are hosted by March of Dimes, that are hosted by Wounded Warrior Project, that are hosted by city commerce, city chambers of commerces, or city travel and tourism bureaus and stuff. And oftentimes, you do have different businesses and different entities, meaning different professional groups
Yeah.
that take these opportunities to get visibility and also push a message out there to the public and also to the politicians on future goals they may have to increase the viability of their profession. Yeah.
Advocacy days. I've been part of that. Of course, there's also Chamber of Commerce's. Absolutely, I've been part of that as well. So all of that is things I've done, and I would encourage all of you to do it as well. Yeah.
Yes, it's a great way to be active and also to get recreation therapists on the map.
Yeah.
Um, in front of rooms, at tables that make decisions that impact our communities that we serve on a
Right.
daily basis. And also just having a good time doing it. Let's just be honest, what it would be like to have a team on the next, big bike race for the city, and all three of you are RTs. That would be simply amazing, you know, and being able to get, sponsorship and to rep recreation therapy in the process of completing that race, winning that race, you know, would be a wonderful thing. Oftentimes, you do hear about 1 and 2 man type of campaigns, such as I know Wounded Warrior had a campaign for suicide prevention, and they were doing I believe it was something similar to either motorcycle riding across the nation or bicycling across the nation. It was something similar to that, where they were addressing major issues that were experienced by persons and loved ones who had someone in their family attempt or either commit suicide. Just drawing that visibility to their plight to get support in the long run. So I think that that's something that we as RTs should definitely do. I think that's a great idea, Dan. Yeah, that was a wonderful one. And next up, guys, our next segment is Behind the Numbers. Go ahead, Dan.
Right. Well, the average adult has about uh 8.3 seconds in terms of attention span. That's not good enough at all. So we can definitely as well improve that. So, and that's one thing that's been clinically verified that we do. So that's another area that we're able to help with. So that's very, very, very important. It's kind of surprising how low the attention span is, but and with uh, I guess all the different dopamine that we experience from all this technology, that's probably a factor. So
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
yeah, so definitely, I mean, if we could improve that, that's definitely very good. Yeah.
So, Dan, are you saying that there's been a downward trend in the attention span of adults in the US?
Um, I'm not saying that. I would suspect that, sure, because of the technology. I mean, I would really have to dig more into the numbers on that. But, right now it's about 8.3 seconds. That's not really good enough. I think that really it's actually in some ways good for people to detach from electronic devices and or put them aside and focus on one thing at a time, really being mindful of of what you're doing in the moment. So that's a
Yeah.
big thing.
Oftentimes I wonder, especially when, you have RTs that may track cognition. We may use cognitive stimulation type of activities to improve a person's attention span or memory, whatnot. So oftentimes I think I'm like, so how does the recreation therapist really track that progress? Um, I think that there's a lot of creative ways that it is done. Some it is through visual cueing, meaning, if you have um, eye contact and they are attentive, they're leaning forward and being attentive, something that you can track, visually, objectively. And then you have others that utilize duration of time, and you have even others that may track more active listening, meaning that they're able to summarize or rephrase what was mentioned to them. They can give it back to you to let you know that they comprehend it as well. So it's just very interesting to talk about attention span and how it is such a crucial executive function. Everything.
Yeah, Abe, right.
Let me just. Okay, I was making sure. I was just
Yeah,
making sure that you can hear me. Okay.
yeah.
So, what I was saying was attention span is so crucial to executive functioning, just in general, and in just having situational awareness. So you're right. Clients need to balance out use of these smart devices because it will tend to be a huge distraction, and it can be a hindrance to a person having that situational awareness, which is needed to make really good decisions when it comes to how they move about, how they navigate around their environment as well. So, yes, indeed.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, in this go 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 society, especially here in the New York City area, it's a tremendous emphasis has been put on multitasking, being able to do many things at once. But I mean, of course, that's a good way to start setting shit on fire. To be honest, I mean, really,
Yeah.
uh, that's focusing. There is something to be said about focusing on one thing at a time and doing it really well.
Absolutely. And there was a study that was released about, I would say over 7 years ago. I remember reading, I'll see if I can cite it and attach the citation to this episode. But it pretty much said that people don't really multitask. What they do is they do thought blocking. So, the way the brain really works is when you are focusing on one thing over another, meaning giving that one more preference and priority, the quality of your focus on the other remaining things becomes very low quality, right? So, to give the impression that we can just, do all of this, focus on four things at one time and then do them all well, that's a fallacy in thought. It doesn't happen that way.
No
Yeah.
question about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. No question about it. Right.
Yeah, so that is the behind the numbers. And next up, we have another segment, which is called Below the Surface, Exploring Rec and Leisure Subcultures. And I wanted to give a brief spotlight on the culture of sporting that happens on courts, meaning tennis courts, and the culture of exclusivity that shrouds the game of tennis. As we all know, tennis is a game that oftentimes requires um, I would say infrastructure, meaning a physical plant, right? It's not like just walking down the street dribbling a ball. You oftentimes have to either go to a court that is available or pay to use a court. I would say that City Parks and Rec and County Parks and Rec has done a better job of giving us tennis courts. But as we know, the fragile nature of tennis courts take a lot of upkeep to keep them sustainable and working functionally. I do know that our first, um, I would say, our first boom in tennis courts, they were in country clubs. And in order to be in a country club, which most country clubs were private clubs, you had to either know someone who was from the community and get an invitation, or you had to have a lot of money to be able to pay for the memberships. And we know that these clubs did not just have tennis courts, but they had a plethora of other amenities as well. Um, I do know that even to the day, you have some clubs that no matter how much money you have, if you're not invited in, you're not getting in there. I think that what has happened though is that many people, with the breaking of color lines and of social economic barriers, they understand that the promotion and the viability of tennis is directly connected to it being accessible to all. That also means adaptive devices and equipment that allows persons who traditionally would not play tennis the opportunity to play tennis as well. The more exposure that the sport has across many different facets of people, it increases the popularity, the viability of the sport. And then the thing that is so beautiful about tennis is there's so many different levels of competitiveness when it comes to tennis. And it is also a sport that the family can engage in together. I do know that oftentimes in tennis, you also will have partners that you can play tennis with as well. I've always enjoyed tennis. I think it is also a sport that you can do majority for your lifespan. You can actually continue playing tennis as well. You do have a lot of tennis courts now that are also being converted for pickleball as well, with taping and stuff because the dimensions are different. But I do believe that with the popularity of great tennis players like Andre Agassi, Venus and Serena Williams, Martina, and many, many other great tennis stars that are world renowned, tennis will continue to be a wonderful and vibrant culture in the sporting world, in the world. And I believe as recreation therapists, we should definitely connect with our parks and rec managers and give opportunities for our clients to engage in this very fun, fast paced sport that keeps them in good shape and is very social as well. It has a very high decorum of behavior and grace as well. The clothing is to die for. The clothing is very nice and very crisp look. I love it as well. And they do have particular shoes and stuff that you use when you're on the course. And they give you many, many opportunities to work on not just your range of motion, but also on your social etiquette. Yeah. What's your thoughts about tennis, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's gotten a lot more accessible since they've really been placing those tennis courts in parks and other areas that are accessible to a better number of people, because there was a time, like you were saying, it was really only available at country clubs. So
Mhm.
I mean, and it's great exercise. It really is. It's great cardiovascular exercise as well as other, physical engines that you're utilizing as in terms of stopping and cutting and other uh, skills that you're using, which really can keep you sharp into older age. I mean, I know a lot of over 55 communities have been starting to blossom with the aging population, and tennis courts are a big part of that. I know that I know quite a number of them that have that. I wish almost they had those kind of um, housing options for younger people in many ways that are, you know, decently priced like the over 55 communities with all the amenities. But,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
mhm,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. And then,
but,
another beautiful thing about tennis is that the offshoots of other new and exciting types of court sports, like padel, is another one that's coming up that Recreation Rooster will share more information on with you. As we know, there's been a big boom in pickleball as well. So tennis, we're definitely interested in pursuing, expanding accessibility and inclusion in those spaces every day.
mhm. Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And next up, guys, we will have our next segment. It is Fast Facts and TR. Take it away, Dan.
Right. Well, this is kind of regarding the relationships that you build with the particular populations that you serve. We have, I guess, most of the populations are kind of short term. You're planning from discharge from day one, essentially. But well, I mean, in private practice, it's actually you could really build relationships forever with the participants. So that's a positive. And that's actually, yeah, that and long term care. Sometimes in mental health and substance abuse, they have long term uh, populations where you could really build relationships. But that's a unique aspect of private practice is that you could really build relationships forever with the participants. And, that's true in long term care and same thing with some mental health and and substance abuse programs. Like a day treatment program I used to work at or whatever. They have long term. That a lot of the people were there long term, mid range to long term.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, in other ones you're planning for discharge on day one, but yeah, in terms of for private practice, yeah, that's the beauty of it. A lot of those people could benefit from support forever. And I mean, of course, everybody pretty much could benefit from, support with regards to leisure education, can benefit from, in terms of what's going on in the community. So, leisure awareness, leisure skills, social skills. Everybody could, get better, in terms of certain areas. So, I mean, that's where you could really develop, for those of you interested in private practice, a really nice long-term relationships with the participants.
Oh,
Anything to
absolutely.
add? Yeah.
So let me get this right. I think that we kind of segued over into discharge planning, which starts at day one, which is under our therapist friend segment.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Oh,
but it falls right in line with facts, and TR, where the length of stay and whether or not the client is in a residential or a non-residential setting is crucial. It is something that many RTs utilize these as benchmarks to decide what type of structure of programming, how much time we have to engage, what objectives and goals that we can work on and establish, I would say a springboard of health and wellness for that client within those times, and how the discharge plan helps as a document that helps for continuity of care after we have discontinued having recreation therapy interventions, direct recreation therapy interventions with that client. So yeah, definitely. I would say this particular episode, our fast facts and TR on length of stay and settings is directly related to our future segment on the therapist friend. Discharge planning starts day one of admission for the client. So yeah, spot on. Spot on. And I think that it was great that you did mention that sometimes if a client is in mental health, they may be there for just 3 days, 7 days. It may be 14 days, 30 days, 40 days, some even up to a year if they are seeking conservatorship. Long-term care is more residential, as you mentioned. Substance use can be as simple as detox, which may be a number of days, 45 to 90 days. And then, you have other type of I would call it safety nets within the health delivery system, like with the county. I know they sobering centers where a person may have come in contact with the officers of law enforcement due to unruly or drunkenness, and they send them to a sobering center where there may be RTs on staff. Through the psych emergency room, through the physical medicine, not through physical medicine, but through the traditional emergency or urgency care as well. And you have your outpatient community outreach, field-based type of positions where you may have a select number of days to interact with that client before they are placed either at a higher level of care or to a lower level of care. Yeah, so triage and post-triage plays a huge role in the function of the RT and how the RT is going to go about carrying out their interventions with the clients. So yes, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that during Fast Facts and TR. And next up, we're going to just talk a little bit about cornering the market. These are tips for success in private practice. So today I wanted to focus on the customer versus the client. Oftentimes I find, especially in private practice, recreation therapy, private practice, and I would also say any other type of therapy, private practice, many people get these two interchangeable, but they are actually not interchangeable. Your customer may not always be your client, and your client may not always be your customer. So with that being said, let's break it down a little bit. So your customer is always the stakeholder that is the one that holds the key to one, execute a contract, and also to pay for the services rendered. So with that being said, when you think of customer, always think of stakeholder. Many of our clients do not have those roles in their care, but some do, but many don't. Many of our clients, which are consumers of our service, receive the services, benefit from the services, right? They also have a say, but they may not have the cognition to execute a contract or the resource to pay for the services.
Um, no, I can't hear you. I hear some kind
All
of
right.
music.
Can you
There you
hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. What was the last thing you heard me say?
go. That the customer and the client isn't always one and the same. That
Oh,
some don't have. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. That
I will start back where I was. So the customer is not always the same as the client. Client is not always the same as the customer. One thing to remember about the customer is a stakeholder. They have the authority to execute a contract, and they also have the means to pay for services. Okay. Whereas the client is the consumer. The client consumes the services and benefits from the services. Oftentimes, many of our clients may not have the mental capacity or the means to pay for the service. So, with that being said, it cannot be used interchangeably because it is not the same. Oftentimes, I tell people who are in private practice, always figure out who the stakeholders are, because those are the people you need to speak to first about ensuring that one, that they want your services and that they have the capacity to pay for your services. There's always a need. There's always a great need for our services. So there's consumers everywhere. Okay. And it's never going to end and it's never going to stop. Okay. As well. So always take that into strong consideration. Who is the customer first? Okay. We'll delve into that much, much more. We'll split off and have a conversation about how to engage with the customer. And we'll have another conversation on how to engage with the client when it comes to sustaining great relationships that not only foster tangible deliverables, but also help to sustain the viability and the financial stability of your agency as a private practice owner. Okay. And next up, we shall have our next segment on TR. And this is different equipment and supplies that we find very beneficial in our day-to-day operations as a recreation therapist. And I wanted to talk about balloon decor. Oftentimes during special events, um, RTs love to use, oftentimes I love to use balloons. I love to use glitter and paint. I love to make it as festive and as colorful as possible. It's just something about a balloon that just uplifts you. I think it's the buoyancy, it's just the fact that it floats, it's so festive. But as we all know, all balloons are not equal. Okay. So, not to endorse any particular brand, but it is essential that you, as a recreation therapist, take into strong considerations where your social engagement will be held. Will it be indoors or will it be outdoors? I would also say indoor balloons are lower quality than outdoor balloons. Outdoor balloons are much more durable. There are certain brands that specialize just in outdoor balloons. And when you begin to make balloon art, there are certain brands. So I would say never go bargain basement with balloons if you are going to do any events outside. And I would also say one thing to always remember with balloon art is that from the moment that you um, blow up your balloons, they begin to slowly deflate. Okay, so it is essential that you give it proper inflation and that you give yourself enough time at the beginning of your social engagement to ensure that things are going to stay inflated for the duration, right? Because you don't want to have everything just start to die out on you halfway through your engagement. And then of course I would say, don't be cheap. Make sure you get those air pumps and that you get helium, even though I know helium is at a premium now. Helium is not cheap. So if you are doing balloon art that doesn't require helium because you are putting the balloons on a stand, then don't use helium for those balloons. But anything that requires the balloons to be inflated and buoyant, definitely use helium for that. So make sure you conserve your helium. I've seen some wonderful, beautiful balloon art. I think it is a great addition to any social engagement that a recreation therapist does. And I would encourage each and every one of you to go for the highest quality balloons for outdoor. You can go a little bit more on the discount side for anything indoor and continue to have a great time. And of course, keep certain safety and protocols in place with balloons and stuff to ensure that no one is ingesting them when they pop, that it is cleaned up as well so that you don't have any accidents when it comes to those. And then also just ensuring that during preparation and decoration that all of the additional balloons that haven't been used, that all of that stuff is stored and put away before clients come into the physical space. Yes. What's your thoughts on the balloon art situation?
Yeah, it's great. It could really make a big difference with the ambiance of an event. Yeah, I mean, so doing it right is definitely very valuable. So that's good feedback for everybody.
Yeah. And last but not least, because we did already go over the therapist friend, discharge planning starts day one. We've already done that segment. On to our last segment of episode A, and this is the Recreation Rooster stamp of approval. This is a person, place, agency, institution that Recreation Rooster, meaning Daniel and I, Maisha, have found to be outstanding when it comes to either the practice of recreation therapists or the preparation and empowerment for recreation therapists. And today we are choosing Temple University as one of our institutions that we find to be in very high standing. They produce exceptional RTs as well. Dan, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've had multiple volunteers when I was in the greater Philadelphia area come from Temple University. I've worked with people from Temple University's RTs from Temple University and wanted to, yeah, definitely. They have a recognition. I see they also have a fully developed master's degree program online, so you can actually take get your earn your master's degree from them anywhere, wherever you live. It's a 36 credit master's degree program. So
Nice.
uh, yeah, and of course they are really a they're a medical model, but that could also teach you a lot of the assessments and um, all of the medical terminology and things that can help you as a practitioner. They're COF accredited, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, they're very highly standard, reputable. I know they're very well known in the greater Philadelphia area for recreational therapy. So, yeah, definitely, bravo to Temple University.
Go Temple. That's right. And with that being said, guys, that is episode 8, which airs February the 19th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to thank you for continuing on this journey with us as we talk about exciting and relevant, I would say, topics in recreation therapy. We're going to continue to celebrate Recreation Therapy Month, which is February 2024. We're looking forward to presenting at Danny Petrie's Rec Therapy Today Winter Conference next weekend as well. We want you to like, share, and follow with us. Drop a comment in the chat. Drop a like if you would like. Just keep us on your schedule. If you'd like to reach out to any one of us, please do. I am Maisha, owner of New Horizons Concierge Firm, a staffing and private practice based out of Los Angeles, serving nationwide. You can reach me at my Recreation Rooster website and email at Maisha at recreationrooster.org or www.recreationrooster.org. And
Yeah,
Dan?
exactly. And Dan Chiavo, your Leisure Dan Consulting Services is an 845-987-0104. That's how you could reach me, 845-987-0104. Daniel at recreationrooster.org, Daniel at recreationrooster.org, www.recreationrooster.org, www.recreationrooster.org, and stop by and get some t-shirts.
Yeah, get a t-shirt. Yeah. Get a Recreation Rooster t-shirt. And guys, continue to celebrate Recreation Therapy Month. Make February 2024 great, and make each and every day after that great. Really shine and let the world know how amazing recreation therapists are. I'm just so excited to be a recreation therapist, and I'm just so happy that this is our second month doing Recreation Rooster podcast. We hope to make it